The Galactic Council had made a grave miscalculation. For 3 centuries, humanity had played by the rules. They had negotiated, compromised, and swallowed their pride at every diplomatic table across the known galaxy. The other species had mistaken this patience for weakness, this restraint for inability. They had forgotten that Earth's history was written in blood, long before humanity ever reached the stars. Elira stood on the bridge of the GSS Harmony, her crystalline form refracting the dim emergency lights into fractured rainbows across the walls. As a Valteri diplomat, she had spent decades advocating for peaceful coexistence with humanity. Now, watching the tactical display before her, she understood how little she truly knew about her human allies. "They're not stopping," whispered Commander Thex, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. The human fleet just punched through the Krell's defensive perimeter like it was tissue paper. Elira's translucent fingers trembled as she manipulated the holographic display. 12 Krell battlecruisers, each one a fortress capable of glassing a planet, were now nothing more than expanding clouds of debris. The human fleet hadn't even slowed down. It had started 3 months ago when the Krell Dominion, emboldened by humanity's centuries of peaceful conduct, had attacked the colony world of New Terra. They had given no warning, no declaration of war. 2 million human civilians had died in the first hour. The Krell had broadcast the attack across all channels, a message to the galaxy. Humanity was soft, vulnerable, and ripe for conquest. The response had been silence. For 2 weeks, Earth had said nothing. The Galactic Council had convened. Debates had raged, and still humanity remained quiet. Elira had hoped her friends would choose the diplomatic path, that they would bring the matter before the proper authorities. She had been so terribly wrong. Orion had tried to warn her. He had come to her quarters on the Harmony just days before, his dark eyes carrying a weight she had never seen before. Orion was a human anthropologist, a gentle soul who had spent his career building bridges between species. They had worked together on countless initiatives, and she considered him one of her closest friends. "Elira," he had said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper, "you need to understand something about my people, about what's coming. The Council will find a peaceful solution," she had assured him. "We always do." He had shaken his head, a bitter smile crossing his face. "You've only ever known polite humanity. The version of us that learned to play nice with others. But that's not who we are, it's who we chose to be. And when that choice is taken away..." He had paused, struggling with the words. "We have a saying on Earth, speak softly and carry a big stick. The galaxy has only ever heard us speak softly. They're about to see the stick. Orion, your people wouldn't, we would," he had interrupted, and the certainty in his voice had chilled her. "We have. For thousands of years before we reached the stars, we perfected the art of war, not because we were good at it, but because we were the best at it. We fought each other with such brutality, such efficiency, that we nearly destroyed ourselves. When we finally made it to space, we made a choice, never again. But the Krell just reminded us that the rest of the galaxy doesn't share our restraint." Now, watching the tactical display, Elira understood. The human fleet moved with a precision that defied belief. No wasted movement, no hesitation. They had bypassed the Krell's outer colonies entirely, driving straight for their homeworld like a spear thrust to the heart. Every engagement was calculated, devastating, and merciless. "Incoming transmission from the human flagship," announced the communications officer. Elira's breath caught. "Put it through." Orion's face appeared on the screen, but he was transformed. Gone was the gentle scholar she knew. In his place stood a military commander, his uniform crisp, his expression carved from stone. "Ambassador Elira," he said formally. "I'm contacting you as a courtesy. The human fleet will reach Krell Prime in 6 hours. We are transmitting our terms of surrender to the Dominion. They have 4 hours to respond." "Orion, please," Elira pleaded. "There must be another way. The Council had 300 years to ensure this would never happen." Orion cut her off, his voice hard. "They failed. Humanity tried diplomacy. We tried patience. We tried playing by everyone else's rules. And 2 million of our people died because we were too polite to remind the galaxy what we're capable of. You're talking about genocide." "No." Orion's eyes flashed with barely contained fury. "We're talking about war, real war. The kind humanity fought against itself for millennia. The Krell wanted to see what humans look like when we stop being polite. They wanted to test us. He leaned forward, and Alira saw something ancient and terrible in his expression. They're about to learn a lesson that every human nation had to learn the hard way. There are no winners in war with humanity. Only survivors and cautionary tales. The transmission ended. 6 hours later, the Krell Dominion surrendered unconditionally. Their entire military command structure had been decimated, their orbital defenses reduced to scrap, and their homeworld's infrastructure crippled, all without a single civilian casualty. The precision was surgical, the effectiveness absolute. Humanity's terms were broadcast across the galaxy: reparations for New Terra, the dismantling of the Krell military, and a binding treaty that would place them under Galactic Council oversight for the next century. But more than that, humanity sent a message that resonated through every council chamber, every military headquarters, every throne room across the stars. Earth's politeness was a gift, not a weakness, and it could be revoked. Elira found Orion in the observation deck of the Harmony a week later. He stood before the viewport staring out at the stars, looking exhausted. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said without turning. "The part of humanity we tried so hard to leave behind." She moved to stand beside him, her crystalline form casting soft light across his tired face. "I understand now. You weren't being cruel. You were being efficient, ending the war as quickly as possible." "That's what we tell ourselves," Orion replied quietly. "But the truth is, we're still the same species that conquered our own world through bloodshed. We just learned to control it, to channel it only when absolutely necessary." He finally looked at her, and she saw the grief in his eyes. "I hope the galaxy learns from this, because next time we might not stop with just one empire." The Galactic Council convened the following month. For the first time in history, not a single member questioned humanity's proposals. The age of underestimating Earth was over. Humanity had spoken softly for 3 centuries. In 6 hours, they had reminded the galaxy why no one should ever make them raise their voice.